How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Tech Chess channel. And today we're going to be talking about seeding data. I know we talked about going straight into talking about controllers, but I thought the best thing would be starting out with seeding data into the database so that we can actually manipulate a certain amount of data using the controllers that we have. So the first things first is what is seeding data? Basically, seeding data in terms of like putting it in basic terms is making fake data that you can be able to use when you're actually trying to test out certain functionalities and capabilities of your application using controllers, using models, using the views themselves, using like trying to test out the UI and the capabilities of the UI, how they're going to occur, how they're going to appear in terms of like lists, tables, a representation of data in charts and stuff like that. So the thing is, I'm going to create something that is not commonly created when people who are beginners are creating applications in Laravel, and that is the seeders. I'm going to do something here. Let me just clear my terminal here. So this is from where we stopped the previous time, and I know that I've been away for a while. I know that this video has come out very, very late, and I apologize for that. But I was trying to figure out like now what's the best approach to coming up with the next step for you guys to actually kind of learn whatever it is, the ins and outs of Laravel, and how you can actually come out to be creating your first app. And that's why I picked out a blog site, because it's a simple application, it's simple enough to use, and Laravel itself is supposed to be simple enough to use. And most of the YouTubers that I've been watching who deal with Laravel don't explain the ins and outs in depth the way I am trying to explain to you guys right here, right now. And if they actually explain it in depth, then that course is not free. I'm trying to make it as free as possible for anyone and everyone to access. And of course, we're going to be using the latest and latest versions of it. So if I type in here PHP Artisan, you'll know that we're using Laravel version 8.14. And I know it's right now it's at 8.19, but there's not much difference. You can still use Jetstream, you can still use all the good stuff. For those guys who are actually tuning in this and they're not actually beginners, but they want to actually refresh themselves on this particular course. And yeah, let's just get down to it and dive into it. So the first thing I want to do actually when it comes to seeds and creating seeders is I'm going to type in here PHP Artisan, and then I'm going to type in make seeder. So it's supposed to make :seeder, and this command is actually here, so you'll actually see it over here in make :seeder. Where is it? Make our seeder. Here we go. So make seeder, it creates a new seeder class, and this seeder class will always appear over here in the seeders folder, which is inside database. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Very self-explanatory. And then you have to type in the name of the seeder. So over here, I'm going to type in user seeder. Cool. So I'm going to also do something that has not been normally done. Is I'm going to be using Eloquent. Eloquent is an ORM that is an ORM, or an object relational mapping language that enables us to actually use any kind of database whatsoever with the kind of code that we're going to be creating, regardless of where this code is coming from. We can use MongoDB, MySQL, whatnot. And that's why we're trying to make this application a little bit more universal for those guys. I know there's some people who are tuning in and they're using things like Postgres. They may need these Eloquent ORMs, and then just basically change to whichever database that they want to use in terms of scalability and whatnot. Even Firebase if they want. So let's start with looking at the user seeder over here. What is the user seeder? Well, I've decided to actually create some users from the very beginning of the application, in that the user that I'm going to be creating over here, first of all, would be the administrator. If we can actually come here and look at our users table that we had created, and let me put it on this other side and close this one. So if you can actually look at the users table, there's an isAdmin property that we added. If you guys can recall at the very beginning when we were talking about designing the application. So this isAdmin is by default false. So any user that comes and creates themselves will be by default not an administrator by default. So we want to create one user within this class, actually within this user seeder class, that is actually an admin. So how do you go about that? Well, Eloquent ORM allows us to use the models and they use the models to access the database. So basically what we need to do to access the users table is we need to initialize a new variable over here and equate it to a new instance of a user. And once we do that, then the user will have all the properties of the users table. So basically this user variable is an object now that has a name, an email verified at, a password, phone number, an isAdmin, a remember token, and the timestamps created at and updated at. So, and also the ID itself. So what would we want to do at this point? Well, we want to do a user name, and we want to call this guy admin or administrator. So now once we call this guy administrator, what happens next? Well, we want to call now the email itself. So email, because that's what we're going to be using to log in. And this will be equal to admin at, I'm going to call this application maybe NOS blog, NOS blog. NOS is like the backwards to the initial, the initials of my name spelled backwards. So I'm just going to do nosblog.com. Then I'm going to do password. I'm not going to do email verified. That one is nullable as well. So I'm not going to do that one because, well, at this current standing, there's no need for it anyway. We're just doing the basics. We're dealing with the basics. So I'm going to go with user password. And I know you guys are going to be thinking, if I did this and just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, will this user be able to log in with that same password typed into the password area? No, because in Laravel, we always hash our passwords. So if I was to hash this password right now, I would go ahead and do this. I would actually call a package that is actually used in Laravel to hash our passwords, and this is the hash function over here, hash, and then I call the function inside here. The hash class calls a function called make, and this make function, this is what this make function does. It just takes the value of whatever we want. Options are just general. You can either put some options that you want. You can either decide to leave them out. It's all up to you. But generally it hashes this password to whichever algorithm that Laravel uses for hashing, together with the salt, together with everything. Okay, so we're going to come in here and call the user, and forgive me if my voice or my tone or my accent changes. It's because I have a wound in my mouth at the moment. I don't want to explain where it came from, but it's just massive. So we're going to call the user, and then we say phone number. Well, phone number is nullable, and for administrators, I doubt that they want their phone number to be put there. So we just want to set this is admin property, and we want to call it and set it to true, which is fine and dandy. So after doing all that, we have our administrator. All we just need to do is call this function user and then save into whichever database that we're using. So the function of save is called, so it saves the model to the database, and that's pretty much it. So once this is called, the user that has been like initiated and instantiated in every single situation over here will be saved to the database, and that is that. Now, after doing all that, I want to just do something extra over here. I want to make a function and call it dummy. and I will make that null, and then I will call some few things over here. So essentially what I want this function to do, just like this one, it's creating a new administrator, but these ones I wanted to create some dummy data. So what I essentially will be using to deal with that is I'll be using a package called Faker from fzanioto or something. I think it's fzanioto, and then the sub package that I'll be using will be generator. Yeah, it could be the generator or actually factory. I think I'll use factory, and then I'll say I want to use it as Faker, like so that I can actually use this word and instantiate it here like this. So I'll call a variable called Faker, and I will instantiate it with Faker create. So this function creates a new generator from Faker. Alright, so once we do that, what is next? Well, we want to create a new user, correct? So we just continue with the trend, new user. Right, so we've instantiated this user variable with all these properties over here: name, email, password, phone number, is admin, and all those things. So what we want to do is we want to fake the username. Username username will be equal to, so I'm going to call this Faker again, so Faker, and I want to call the name function, and I want to say mail, so that every time I'm faking this new dummy, maybe I'll say dummy mail. Let's just do dummy mail. And then every time I'm instantiating this new dummy mail, then I will do this legit. I will just call the email as well. And now what I want to do here is I want to take whatever I have in now this new variable over here, user.name, and I want to slug it. Basically what I mean by slug is I want to make it into a URL friendly name, and then attach it to like the suffix. Is it suffix or a suffix of the email address that I want? So in hindsight, I will just use a package called str. Now str is found here in Illuminate, so use str, and I'll go and look for it. As you can see, it's in here, Illuminate support str. I'll import that package, and now at this point I'll call a function over here called slug. So slug, if I was to come here, it says slug is used to generate a URL friendly slug from a given string. You can Google it, you can look it up. I hope you just really understand what it is. Like if there's a word here that's in capital, you make it small. If there are white spaces, attach them with a hyphen or an underscore or something, whatever it sees fit. And yeah, like you can see, separator is the hyphen or the minus sign for those people who don't know what hyphen is. Okay, so I'll slug this user. So I'll take the user name, and then I will attach it to, or concatenate it to, another string that says @gmail.com, which is good, essentially. All right, so you'll see that in works. We'll go back to phpMyAdmin and you'll actually see it in operation. Next thing I want to do is create the password for the user. So now there's a user password which will be equal to, now because I did this over here, I'll just come here and do the reverse of this number for the normal user. So 87654-321, just like that. And then I will do the phone number, I believe. So I'll come in here and then user phone number, and it will be equal to, well, I'll just do 0, 7, 2, or rather 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Instead of doing 0, 7, I think I'll just do 2, 5, 4 because that's the country code of the country. And yeah, country code of Kenya, 254. And then I will come in here and just do user, and I will do what the I don't want to do the is admin because by default it's false. So I'll just call the save function. Alright, so I call the save function, save it like that. So this is the dummy male. What if I want a dummy female? Well, I'll just copy this, do female, and come in here, do female, and then I will do the username attached here. The hash is like that. I'll do this here like this, maybe 0734 1 2 5 6 7 8. Yeah, maybe just do something different with the females for once. And yeah, that is done. Now inside our run function, which is the default class that will be called whenever this class is going to be run, what is going to happen? Well, essentially we just want to call these other functions inside this class within the construct function that is called run. So I'm going to say this call, and this is something that some of you need to actually understand. We're going to call the class called user seeder, which is this class itself, and then we're going to call the function dummy meal. So I'm going to call that and finish it like that, and then I'm going to do the same for female. Now there's a blue line over here, and it says that the non-static method dummy male should not be called statically. That means that this function needs to be static. Return a static response, same as this one. And after that, all those lines are gone and everything is good. Excellent. Now, this database seeder is the general seeder for all seeders. You have to call the new seeder classes that you've created inside the database seeder so that they can run effectively. So essentially, the same way I called these functions within the run is the same way I'm going to call this function from the user seeder, like so. So I'm just going to do this call, and I'm going to come here and say user seeder. Then I'm going to just write in class.class like that. And once I do that, I can even do this. I can actually come here and create 5 of each, 5 male, 5 female. So 1 2 3 4 5, like that. So I can do that, and then one administrator at the very top. So in the end of this all, I'll have 10 plus 1, so I'll have 11 users in my database. So I'll save that, and then I'll come in here and just do php artisan db seed and see what happens. So there's an error that has been thrown, and this error is saying that integrity constraint violation, admin must block for all key users, that's okay, that's okay. Right, so let me just do this php artisan migrate, and then I'll do a colon fresh, and then I'll do the seed. Okay, so let's see if it will run, and it's run successfully. Because the reason why the error was thrown is because I think there was a duplicate of this email address, and that the database does not add or allow for email addresses to be unique, just the same way it's been declared over here that the email address needs to be unique. Great, so with that being done, we can go now to our phpMyAdmin. We actually see what goes down over here, and you can see we have 11 users just as I predicted. This is a Mrs., this is a Mr., This is Mrs. This is Mr. You can see this male, female, just like that, you know. And then the administrator, of course, is none of those. Great. And then you can see the is admin is 1. So we'll learn how to use that with our application, and how to protect routes using like an authentication protection, and then also an administrator protection using middleware. With that being done, with that being said, let's get back to the app and try and test this authentication. So I'm going to do that, go back to the app. I think I logged in as administrator or something. I don't know. Maybe the session detected that I'm admin or something like that. So if I log in and then I come in here and type in admin@nosblog.com, and then I come in here and type in the password to be 123456778, and I click on login, then I will become administrator. So you guys can see that is done. If I go back home, I'm still administrator and everything is good. Before I leave that being said and done, I want to come here and change my env over here and just come in here and type in nos blog like that. And then I refresh this and we see what happens. So you guys, you can notice that I changed something in the .env and I didn't have to close my PHP artisan serve for it to like make the changes. And this is why with Laravel 8, it actually detects the changes in the environment and restarts the server accordingly. In case I didn't mention that, then now you know, now you understand, and we can actually move on. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Have yourselves an awesome time. We're going to deal with controllers later on. So yeah, I've already created like my test controller, so I'm going to actually delete it for the next video so that I can show you how we went about that and why we went about that. So ladies and gentlemen, take care. We'll see you guys in the next one where we talk about controllers. Bye.